Good morning, all. I'm dropping
Mhm.
this video for us to really understand how things work. If you don't understand how Forex operates, you will get frustrated unnecessarily. But when you have a good knowledge and a deep understanding of how this thing actually works, you just have to wait for the right moment to know how to plan and execute it. Trace signal as in sell limit orders, stop limits and buy limits and all of that, even buy stop and all of that. Uh, Instant executions, probably it's when you don't really know how this thing works. It's difficult to say that you are going to put a pending order like sell limit or buy limit or buy stop or sell stop. It's very difficult because uh, you are not in control of the market. Now, if you look at this uh, chart in front of me, and if you know where this trade is going, or eventually it's going to get to, but eventually you know, what is going to be doing in the middle, you cannot forecast it, you cannot even determine it. So it's determined by the force that interplay and all the dynamics that happens in the middle, which is difficult to interpret and to guess. So all you can do is to look at the footprints that the price is making and to decide what it's going to do. Now, there are questions that you have to ask, even now that you understand what we are saying about wave analysis and structure. There are questions you have to ask yourself. Now, how many structure do I expect in a major Elliott wave, which is an impulsive? Now, in terms of that structure on the higher time frame, we said that we are going to see like 5 major structure on the higher time frame. So wave 1 is a major structure, which is number 1 structure that you are going to see, and which you must be able to identify on the higher time frame. Wave 2, which is in the opposite direction, is another structure. Wave 3 is another structure. Wave 4 is another structure. And wave 5 is another structure, which you have to see. Now, having said this, that these are the major structure. When you are able to identify 2 structure, you might be able to tell perhaps where the other structures might fall or go. That is just one thing. And you really have to go after one structure, you think one structure is ended, then to know, oh, this is about the time this structure is going to end. And can I wait here? What can I do? That is all you can do. But in the middle of that structure, and you want to pick something in the middle of this one, it's going to be very difficult for you. You have to decode what structure, what exactly is happening. But at the major level of change, for instance, when this thing has to buy to this level, and this is a level of change, and we add this, and this is another level of change around here, here and here. The other level of change that is going to give rise to this one. And before we see this, and before we see this, and before this, and this. So these are levels of structures that you have to look and wait for. But all those structures, before they are completed, takes a while. And that is why you have to wait. Once you have missed an important level of entry, you have to wait until that structure is completed before you can say, except you have all the time. On the lower time frame, even if you know that this is what the structure is going to be at the end of the day, or where the price is likely going to reverse, the lower time frame does not work like that. And they can change it in the middle. Even if the higher time frame is telling you that in this kind of correction, you are seeing a zigzag. If you are seeing a zigzag on the higher time frame, for instance, if you look at this structure here, which is a correction here, you can see that this price came down and this price broke it up. For this one to be like this and for this one to be like this tells you something, that this structure that you are looking at on this higher time frame can never be what? It can never be a regular flat, because the regular flat will not break this top. There are things you will see that again, it can never be what? It can never be a zigzag, because you don't expect a zigzag, because if this one is A and this one is a B wave, then there are things you should know that, oh, this is A wave down, and a B wave in a regular flat will not break the top, and in a zigzag will not break the top. Now, in breaking the top, there are two that are likely to break the top, and they are flats. This is a running flat and extended flat. Then you can see that the C leg, the way it came down, got stuck around this area. It didn't even break the B, the A. It didn't break the low of the A. This tells you that, okay, on the higher time frame, this can only be a running flat and not an extended flat. So when it broke it up, it gave you two possibilities of an extended flat or a running flat. But when it was completed, it completes itself as a running flat. Even though when it's coming down, you're having at the back of your mind the possibility of it being a running flat or an extended flat. If it had been an extended flat, it will break this level and it will break also this level down. Now, when you see this on the monthly time frame as it is now, it might also play out like that on the weekly time frame, but on the daily time frame, it might be different. So it might not give you entirely a straight structure of what you are seeing on the higher time frame. The worst one will be the 4-hour time frame and the 1-hour time frame that will mess you up. And that is where you are going to waste your money, because the 4-hour time frame might give you a complex wave in the middle. And all attempt, what they are trying to do is to make it happen on the bigger time frame. But on the 4-hour and the 1-hour time frame, they will give you lots of consolidation that you're not even able to now find, okay, this way that you are doing, where is it going? Is it that I'm seeing a regular flat on 1 hour or that, or I'm seeing a consolidation? So you get confused completely. So, you know, the approach is to actually look at your wave and see, okay, on the higher time frame, where are we? What is the direction? If the eventual direction of this is still bullish, like we can see, which is bullish, the eventual direction of this thing is bullish, as we can see. But again, when they are doing this correction, it also takes a while, because the correction can go on. You know, everybody loves a move like this. It won't happen in a day. It won't happen in 2 weeks. But when they do this correction and you are still waiting, you have been buying from here and they got to this point and you are still waiting, you want it to continue, it won't continue. They might do this mess for like more than 6 months or close to a year. You know, as you can see here, when it got here, you've been doing your buy, you know, in monthly, and it got here after this month, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For almost a year, this thing was correcting. You know, at times you think that we're not giving you a trade. It's not as if we don't want to give you a trade. When this thing did 1 year, almost 1 year, just 2 months short or shy, before all of a sudden we begin to move like this. So when the correction is taking too long at times, you are impatient to think that, okay, for this thing to have taken like almost 10 months, it must have ended its structure. Probably they want to come down. You know, all that begins to play somewhere in your head, in your mind, because it has done like 10 months here. It doesn't work like that. You have to be patient. So what can be your ill? It's number one, yes, you have to. This is not Sogun Diogoji kind of thing. It's not. You must have the knowledge. You must know when you understand how it works, so you can confidently deploy more money. A whole lot of you don't want to even learn. Perhaps you're not even digesting the video I'm sending. You must digest this video and understand it. And for me not to be giving you back-to-back trade means that I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm looking for those points. I will wait patiently because structures for all the pairs, they might be at different levels. For now, we are at very good levels that we can also aim for big things. And that is why I'm taking my time to know when to give you. So I might be able to give you levels on the higher time frame. And when I give you those levels of entry on the higher time frame, which is the probable level based on probably if two structures are formed, and I'm trying to look for the last leg, you know, and looking for the last leg might probably be a three possibilities that I'm looking at. But because now I have more knowledge, I can now quickly look at the lower time frame to see what they have done and when they're about completing it to see if, okay, what is going to now work is that out of the two or three possibilities of this thing, right? For instance, if this one is days and this one is days, which is like a possibility of, you know, coming with the last leg of C, giving it to be a running flat or an extended flat. Now, if I deploy my, you know, my knowledge and I begin to look at the lower time frame, I might see a clue that tells me that yes, this thing may not extend beyond 61.8 or at most probably 100 extension. So if it's going to be like that, then I know that we are not going to go deep. For instance, now, if I take an extension tool to get this one, you know, it's right from here down to this tip and back to the head here. So you can see that this thing, even, you know, that's where it's going to be difficult also to know. This thing had given me something close to 61.8 or 50. So, which means that it is not really that simple as a running flat. Not until you now begin to break it down that you understand that the running flat that you think you are seeing is not exactly a running flat, you know, because it's not working perfectly on what 61.8. Not until you now break it down in the middle that you will now see probably on the what do you call it, on the weekly time frame or daily time frame, you will now be able to see it very well that it's a running flat. That I know. Now, when I was teaching us in the previous video, I told us something. I said, you might not see the internal structure of wave one major on the higher time frame, like monthly time frame. And these are the clues, these are the things that you will see. In the middle here is nothing but a correction. Is a correction. But this is an impulsive wave from below here up to this place. And this is CAD JPY. Where exactly are we? Even though we know it's bullish, where exactly are we? These are the questions that we must ask ourselves. and which might be difficult. Where this thing is getting to is another thing that might be difficult for you to answer. It might be difficult, very difficult for you to answer. Because if we say that we will see wave 2 and wave 4, which must be apparent, they must be distinct on the higher time frame. You might take this to be what? A wave 2, and this one should be a wave 4, and you now think that this one is wave 5. Is it really a wave 5? Because again, I will expect to still see something like, let me show you, quickly show you Euro USD for you to understand what I'm trying to compare here. Euro USD. Now look at this. This is Euro USD. Look at this structure. This is Euro USD, for instance. This is Euro USD. And like I told you, I can see wave 1 clearly, and this is wave 2 here. Now, this is wave 3. And I can see bits of movement in the middle like this, and which means that this is wave 3. I have not seen anything that looks like wave 4. And so we said that we're about doing wave 4. So it's either we are about doing wave 4 and or we are about completing wave 5. So of course, wave 4 had to complete, or wave 5 had to complete itself before doing wave 4. So it's in the middle, a transition zone of trying to do that. So, and if we're going to do that, where are we going to have it corrected to? And we will now begin to see, not until we have eventual reversal for that big correction of wave 4, that we are likely now to now point where it might pull to before we now begin to have a descent of wave 5. So we have told ourselves that with this, we know this structure too well, that this move, when we had this move is like A, and this is B, and we are on C. And it was clear, very clear to us that this to this is at 90, which says that this is what a regular flat. And the structure here only limits that possibility to 1 because it is not a zigzag. It passed zigzag because it was at 90. It is not a running flat or extended flat because it didn't overrun this top. So the only possibility on Euro USD is, like we said, it's what? It's a regular flat. And if it's going to be a regular flat, you expect your C leg to either stall at 61 or 100 or 123. Now, the 61, like we said, is around this place. Now it has pierced, it is about touching 100, or yeah, it's almost at getting to 100. Because the 100 actually was below here. So almost at 100. Now, because the fact that it has not even given me a wave 4 that I can call properly a wave 4 in the middle, and that now tells me that this is likely to run 123 before it finish up with 5. And that is how to actually engage our mind. It's possibility. But knowing how it will look on the higher time frame also will help you if you know the kind of wave that is coming down. If you know the kind of wave that is coming down. This is like a regular flat. And in a regular flat, you know that it's going to be 3-3-5 wave. So the first wave will be a corrective wave, three wave pattern. And the second one will be a 3-3 wave pattern. And the last one will be an Elliott, which is an impulsive, which is 5 wave. And that is the way it's going now. So you can begin now to look at this. Where is wave 1 and where is wave 4 in the middle of this one? you don't know what you are doing. When you are beginning to count this one as wave 1, this is wave 2, this is wave 3, this is wave 4, and this is wave 5, you are lost. You won't understand it that way because this is going to be a complex formation of wave 3 waves, in between. Of course, when it's a complex 3 waves, you can now have a complex 3 wave to make up this one because we expect it to be 3 wave complex. So which means if it's going to be a 3 wave complex, in the lower division of it, you can have a 3 wave off, then a 3 wave down, and another wave C of it to be 335, which might give you an Elliott, maybe on a daily time frame. And again, it does like a zigzag somewhere, which will give you a 535, and it will continue that mess until it will land here. Same way with this one. This one is not an Elliott of a 5 wave pattern. It is not. So you are looking, oh, this is wave 1, this is wave 2, and this is wave 3, and this is wave 4. And by the time you get there, you are confused. You don't understand it anymore. You must know by the way the structure had formed that this is what I expect. So the way I will look at this wave, I won't actually peruse or look at this wave, these 2 other waves like that, because they are 3 wave formats, 3 wave format, 3 wave format, which is not looking like that to you here. Now, if I want to say it's 3 wave format here, I will see it as wave 1 and wave 2 and wave 3. That's the way I will look at it here. Now, this one, I will look at it as 3 wave format in this regard, that wave 1 and wave 2 and wave 3. That's the way I will look at it. Whatever happens in the middle, then you now have to decode. It's an high level of Fibonacci and mathematics that is happening in the middle to be able to even chop anything here. So this one is even more simple for us to say, okay, we know where to put our leg. But what I'm trying to say in essence is that this is wave 1 and 2, and these are internal structures of wave 3. We have not seen wave 4 major. Now, look at this very well. We have not seen wave 4 major here. And the internal structure of wave 3 on the monthly time frame on Euro USD, you can look at this place and look at this place where you see just one green and another green here, which are levels. So seeing this green and this green here to even occur in this small format might mean that, okay, this one might be a wave 2 of 3, and this might be a wave 4 of 3, and we are ending with 5 of 3. So it's only when you now want to now switch to the weekly time frame that you now see the internal structure of 3 more readily. So like this now. So on the weekly, so we can see 1 and 2 now. And these are internal structure of 3, which is now occurring more readily. And this is where it can even get you confused if you don't know what you're looking at. So you might say that this is the beginning of 3, because this is 2 that ended here. You might see this one as the beginning of 3. Now, when you are even looking at your wave 2, you get confused again, because on this time frame, the weekly time frame, you don't readily see this one as a 3-wave correction. You don't see it as a 3-wave correction, this thing here. And you say, this one is wave 2. So if this one is second wave of the Elliott, I should see ABC, and I'm not seeing that. Really is an ABC. For you to see this one as ABC, you now have to go to what? The daily time frame. So if you don't understand this thing, you will always mess up and you will not see anything. So you have to take it from that perspective of the monthly to the weekly to see what and what you can see. So now, we said this one, following wave 3 now, we say this is maybe around wave 2 of that 3. Now, when you now do wave 2 of that 3, you now pick wave 3 of that 3. So when you are seeing wave 3 of that 3, you break it down to 5 waves, because this one, wave 1 of that 3 will start here, because this is wave 1 in the major, which is 5 waves. If you break it down on the daily, you will see it very well, that is 5 waves. And this one, wave 2. And when you look at this wave 2 and you break it down, you know that it's 3 waves. maybe a zigzag. Now, when you go down with 3, 1 of 3 will give you this, and you now have 2 of 3, maybe 1 of 3 will end here, and you now have 2 of 3 ending here. And the 3 of 3, this 1 of 3 is a 5-wave pattern. When you break it down to 4 hourly, you will see that it is 5-wave. Now, when you now look at this one, it also is going to be a 3-wave pattern. Now, because it's internal structure of wave 2 now on the weekly, we're now begin to see that most likely this one will look like that, really, you know. And the internal structure of wave 3 of 3 now is going to be another 3-wave, which is the longest. And that is why that one is going to run like this, because it's internal structure of wave 3. So it's going to run like this. So internal structure of 3, if this one is 3-1 and this one is 3-2, so the 3-3 is going to also be a 5-wave, which you may be able to see better here. You won't see the internal structure of 3-1 here, but you will see the internal structure of 3-1 or 3-3 more readily on the weekly. So which is this one, and this is the 3-3, and which will end here, and the 3 internal structure of 3-5 end here. And so when the 3-5, that's 3-3-5 now, that's the internal structure of the 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So when you finish that 3-3-5, then you now go to 3 of 4, which is this one. Then the 3 of 5, which is we are ending. And when you now finish that one, that means we are done with the internal structure of the whole of 3. Then we're now going to see 4 unfolding, which is the major 4. When we now finish with the major 4, we'll now run 5. And when we are running our 5-wave, probably we're going to run our 5-wave also like this. That when you now break it down, you now begin to see the internal structure of 5-1, 5-2. Then 5 of 3 also will be the longest. Then the correction of 5-4 and 5-5 will end, then we'll change direction. So it's going to, this thing is going to take the next 6 months. It's going to take this. So when you are talking of, oh, dollar is just going to be temporarily weak to correct upward, that is what we are expecting. And that, of course, should not be less than a month or a month and a half or 2 for this correction upward to take place. How high is going to go, we'll see. Even though I've given you a TP, it will change at the end of the day when I see more structure. That is how to do it. So even you giving you TP, which means they can change. It's not definite because I don't know. The structure has to form to allow me see properly. Now, looking at the internal structure of this one, I said it's a 3-wave pattern. When you now go down to the daily, so this is the daily. Now this is the daily. This is the daily. So you can now see that this is a move in itself, which did this one. This is a move in itself, which did this one to complete wave 1 here. Now this structure of wave 2 is what you now have to see. So this is the structure. Like I told you, that is a 3-wave pattern. So this is the structure. Now, the first one went up as 5-wave. The second one came down as a 3-wave. And the last one also went up as a 5-wave. So you can divide it. This is 1, A, B, and a C. This looks pretty much like a zigzag. So that's a zigzag. So you will see it much better here that is a zigzag. Maybe complex zigzag when you look at it on the 4-hour. But you know, this one travels more or less in a straight line before you add this move. And this move is down here, and down here. This correction in the middle is also a triad. The correction here in the middle is also a triad before this final leg. So you don't take this one as just a wave and that this is a wave. No, this is a complete wave here. And you now have a triad also in the middle where you have the A and B and C before the last leg of that correction of wave 2 in the middle. Now, so I'm just trying to let you see how things really work by going into all these things. So this is Euro USD. So let me go back to what I was teaching. I think I used this. Now, this is where we are. Now, it may be interesting to see that, okay, if we're on the higher time frame, and this has given us what looks like a wave 2. Now, we can say that, okay, this now looks like a wave 3 and 3-4. And 3-5 ended here. And this might look like what a wave, a wave, a wave 4, and that are we on 5? So now, where it's going to get to, not until this thing finishes, because it's complex in the middle. You know, it's complex in the middle. And what makes it complex in the middle, when you see this move and you see this type of correction here, contrary to what I thought it was, this is a completely different wave, you know, and this is just correction. So it's not like this one is wave 1 to end here and give a wave 2 down here, and probably that we are seeing wave 3. It's completely different thing in the middle. So we are looking at this as a wave 1 and wave 2 and wave 3, the internal structure of 3. Maybe this one is now 3, 4, and 3, 5, and 4 OC. So by the time we now begin to break it down, we'll see what is like better. And because the yen pairs are basically doing something similar, they are doing something similar, and how we're going to engage it, I will let you know. So now we still say that this is like 1, and this is like wave 2, and now we're beginning to see the internal structure of wave 3 on the weekly, better, and 3 of 3. So, and if 2 ends here, 2 ended here, so 3 will start almost immediately here, and 3 of 1, 3 of 2 here, and 3 of 3, 3 of 4, 3, 3 of 4, then 3, 3 of 5, before we have this correction, and we now see a wave 4 like this. So in a wave 4 like this, when we ended 5 like this, it's A and B and C to give rise to this wave. So are we of wave 5? So does this look like the first correction of wave 5? So that is what it's looking like now. That is what it's looking like now. So it might be a terminal wave that is going to burn off, and we are going to see. So, but the way this one had traveled up means that is in an early part of that wave. So we might be seeing more move, more move to the upside. So it looks more like if we are correcting wave 1 of it, of 5 of 1. That's what it looks like. Now let me now switch to an area. Having done this, let me switch to this. Now, this is where we are. This is where we are now. So we are trying to run this as a 1 and 2, and that a 3, and this is a 4, and entire 4 in the middle, and we are at 5. Before I do this again, let me take this one off so that we'll see. and we said this is 3, and this is 4, and this is 5 that we are running. And let's look at the internal structure of that on the daily. So you must know and how to deal with this. You must know how to deal with this. Now, so far to me, we are not done with yen pairs. Yen pairs will still go higher. It's not about the time that they're going to reverse. That is what I can see here now. Of course, they're going to have a deeper correction that is going to go for the next over 4 weeks. We are going to be in the downs on the downside on yen pairs. Don't get me wrong, but I don't believe that they want to change trend on the yen pair. It's still bullish. That's what I can say. It's still bullish. Not until we now begin to see more of the internal structure of this one. So I still believe that yen pairs are still bullish, very bullish, but you don't want to buy now because they are selling. Now, if we say that this 3 is here and this is where 4 ended, and so we might say that, okay, this might mean that after this move, this might be a wave 1. Okay, now it's even a lot better now. We might say this is like a wave 1 of the last 3, the last leg of 3. The last leg of 3 might just be like this, which ended here. So we might say that with 3 ended somewhere here. So if wave 3 ended here, which is the last leg of wave 3, if it ends here, then we are probably starting, and this is like a correction of that leg, then before we begin to run with 5. So this now looks so much like a 5 of 1. That's what I'm trying to say now on the daily. So this one cannot just be anything but part of wave 3. So this is the last leg of wave 3, and this is the last correction of that wave 3 to give us 5, 4 here, and now we now have the beginning of wave 5. So we are looking at that as possibility. I want you to also follow me. Now, if that is it, if it is with 5 of 1, it means that most likely we are correcting with 2. We are correcting with 2 or 5 of 1. So that is going to probably be a zigzag or looking like a zigzag. So which means that if we are correcting this entire wave, that's wrong, because this thing ran 5 waves upwards. So you can see the internal structure. It ran 5 waves upwards. 1, 2, and 3. The 3 of 3 is in the middle here. From here to end 3 of 3, and the 5, the last 5 wave of that 1, 5, 1 ended here. And we now have a correction down here. So if this correction here, if this wave had broken lower than this one, we might be thinking of, okay, they want to change guard and reverse. So that has not happened. That has not happened. So I don't see that they have finished the trend. So they are just having a correction of this wave, this entire wave here, from here to here. When this wave, this correction in the middle, break lower than 97 here, if it breaks lower than 97 or 96, then you now can begin to entertain that something has changed and they have reversed. That's how to look at it. That's how to look at it. So the correction here is what we have to engage now. We have to engage the correction here now. So if we see this one as 5-1, and this is like a 2, let me do something. So if we see this one as 5-1, a 5-1 from here to here is 5-1. So the 3 ended here, 3-5 ended here, and this is the 4th correction. And before we now have this move of 1 and 2 to get to this point. And this is wave correction, wave A. If this one is A, this one is B. So if this one is B, then this thing is coming down. Now, here is how this thing is now getting more interesting. This is a price action for a correction. Do you understand? And so you can still see it as a price action for that down movement. And this thing came down in 5-wave pattern. So because the first leg A ran down as a 5-wave pattern, that tells me it's going to be a zigzag, which we are seeing at the making. So once we interpret this one to be A of a 5-wave correction, you will see it more on the 4-hour correction, so the time frame. So this is it now on the 4-hour time frame. Here is it on the 4-hour time frame. So we said after wave 3, 5, and this is like a correction before we now begin to have this entire run here. So this entire run here had finished this one as wave 5-1. So 5-1, a 2 would always be a big correction that you can see. It's 2 is bigger correction anywhere than 4. You can have, in any time frame, 2 is a bigger correction than 4. And because it can run as low as 85. But, you know, if it's a zigzag, and it can go up and extend as 90 or as 100 or as 123 or more if it's an extended flat, breaking the top once again before coming down. So we must be able to identify every wave 1. If you cannot identify every wave 1, then you don't know what you are doing. So that's where you really have to study hard to know that this is most likely a 3-5 and a 5-1. So if we are seeing this as 5-1, let's assume it's a 5-1 because of what I'm saying now. And this is 5-wave pattern, you know. If you look at it, it's a 5-wave structure to give us a 4 and to finish as 5 here. Then we now have this correction in the middle. A B wave will always be a 3-wave if it is zigzag, and the last wave will now be a 5-wave structure down. Now, this is where it's getting interesting. Here, wave 2 is very small, you know, and this is wave 4 and 5. Here, it ran as a 3-wave structure, you know, here, which is complex. You can't say, oh, this is a 5-wave structure. No, it's not a 5-wave structure. Now, we have a price action for a C leg. That is what I can see. We have a price action for a C leg, and this is now wave 2 of this C leg, which has become rather elongated and in consolidation. And this is where it gets tricky. If you are looking at this on a smaller time frame and you want to trade it, and you are looking at the bigger time frame, you are going to get lost. And that is why you must know what you are looking at very well. If you look at this, in terms of structure, if you look at this from this wave down here, which I call a 5-wave, so this is exactly at about 85.4, and it didn't get to 90. 90 is just here. So this one didn't actually get to 90. So because it didn't get to 90, although they threw little wick above 85, so we'll still make it, we'll still call it with B. So B has ended. So we are on C leg. And when we take the C leg and say we are on C leg, we expect that this is a C. This is the first wave of C, which may have ended the internal structure of the first wave here has ended, you know, as 5 waves of that one here, and we are now seeing a 2. That's what it's saying. So we are going to see a 3, and we're going to see where it's going to get to. So if I do this, if I go back here, what do we want to see? if this is A and this is B, and it's a zigzag, we should expect at least 100% extension or 123 and nothing more than that. If it's going to be a zigzag. Once it goes beyond 120, 127, then I should begin to have a rethink that something else is happening. So what are we saying? If you are going to do an extension here, from this tip down to where A ended, back to where B started or ended. So to get 100, so I should expect 100 around this place. This is 100 here. That's 100. And this is a 123. This is a 123 here. That's a 123 here. So it means that I don't expect this thing to go beyond this place in terms of correction. Now, if that is what I'm looking at, then something again will change a bit for me. So now make me see that the internal structure of wave 5-1 didn't start from here. Because if I expect that it's going to be a 1, okay, it can still be a 1. It can still be a 1. It can still be a 1. If it's going to end here, it can still be a 1, which is 123. It's going to end here. In terms of extension, but would it be an overall of 85? So let's see. In terms of, if I'm looking at it as an overall correction of this entire wave, 1, which started from here to this place for 2. Yeah, perfect. It's perfect. It's still perfect. It's still perfect because looking at this one now, I'm going to do something for you to see. Let me change this color here. Good. So in terms of, I'm looking at this one as wave 2, and it's going to be the last C leg. 85 is here. 85.4 is here. Where is the maximum for wave 2? So even looking at this in itself tells me that the most likely place that this thing might get to is here. So entirely tell me that, oh, it's wave 2 correction. It's actually at 100. So I should be expecting that this thing should get to 98.558 level. That is where we will now begin to sell wave 3 to break up. And that is what we should be looking at. We should be looking at a change of guard here to go higher on yen pairs. And I don't expect my price to compromise this level of 123, even though it's a possibility. But based on this wave, it will breach wave 2. When it gets to 90 here, it's telling me something different. So you can see that with that analysis, you can quickly make a change around this zone, because now I can see that this is 85. So this thing may actually touch around 76.4, which is what it looks like, the way this thing had created itself, that this is A and B, and C will terminate at here, which will still agree with 76.4 for more upside. But on the overall, if wave 5-1 started from here, then I want to see if it's this one agrees with that flip retracement analysis of for wave 2, if this one is wave 1. And The maximum place is where the red is. Once it gets to here, it is 90. And if you should get to 90, then it has changed something entirely for me, that this is not going to be a wave 2 anymore, and it will change this again for me. But so far, the strong possibility is A, B, and we're going to see C. That is how to look to engage it. So I don't really expect anything below here. Once it crosses below, then it will change the whole view as if, okay, now what is coming down might now be a wave B. So, and if it's a wave B, then we run a C higher, then we now begin to break lower. That means most likely the trend will change. But from the structure and what we are seeing, this thing looks so bullish, you know, and it doesn't look like an ending diagonal, even on this time frame too. On the daily time frame, it doesn't. It doesn't. So now summarize CAD JPY. Sorry. Now you can see that this also done one here to show me that this is where 3 ends, and so this is 4, and of course this is where we are going to see our 5-1. So the 5-1 has ended. We're going to see 5-2. Of course, it's going to break lower than this, you know, when it breaks. So to show you this between here and here, this one is also like showing me a blue box. This is the zone I expect a reaction for more upside to complete leg C of this correction of wave 1, and we're going to break higher. So if you're going to break higher and we're able to catch this, you know, and we risk a little, if you're able to catch it, then we're going to do it with 3, which is going to go far higher, and it's going to be longer than with 1. And once we do that, we do with 3, with 4, and 5 or 5, and we end it there. So what we're trying to say now is that it seems we're on wave 5 of CAD JPY. So for us to have a trend changing, to change trend will still take a while, maybe another 4 months or 6 months before we change that trend. So which we're going to wait for. But we're on the last wave of 5. That is what it looks like now on CAD JPY. We're on the last wave of 5, but then not immediately. So before we run C leg, are we going to finish that C leg this week? We're going to enter or the following week. And after we are done with that, then we're going to move up. And what you are seeing in the middle is just a waste of time to buy time to extend with 2 here before the trust with 3 down. So this sort of movement will always happen, and it will, you know, make you freak out, and you are expecting something in the middle. You think the way they did this price action, that they want to come down, they should continue to run down. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the whole week they're on wave 2 on CAD yen, on wave 2 on CAD yen. So you can see, and that is why you have to be patient. You have to be patient to know what you are doing. So the analysis is spelled clearly out here, and this is 5-1, and this is A, and this is B. Let me go down to the internal structure of it for you to see more. This is A. So this is A. So it's not a trend change for now. It's just a correction of 5-1. So A, B, and we're going to C. And of course, C will break here. This is where I expect C to be. This is where I expect C to be. And this is 123, which I doubt if it will get here. And that's what I just told you. I doubt it based on the analysis I did, knowing where 5 ended. If 5 started from here, from this level, and this is 3, So we said this is 3.5, 3.5. So that's the last 5. So this is 3.5. 3.5 ended there. So, and let's say 5. One started from this level. Let me use a black. Let me use a black and a perforated black. Yeah. So if we start from that level, so we have told ourselves that we don't expect price okay. So price from here to the black here, and we said that around here is 80. Around this is around 76. This is 80, and this is where 123 is. And we said price is not likely going to get to that level based on what we know for week 1. So I don't expect price to go beyond here if it's going to be 85. So that is what we are saying now. This is how we look at possibility and we quickly know that something is changing. So I don't want to sell. I can't find a point to sell for now, but I'd rather wait to see a transition, most importantly here. And this is a strong place I want to put my buy limit, not at 23. So, but I should expect that price may just do falling, behave fallingly, but I don't expect price to break this level or this level. So place of getting to this place. If price should get to this point, it has changed something for me. If price should get to 97, it has changed something for me. So I would rather want to stay here to buy. That is what we are seeing here on this one now. So my stuff can be a bit messy. I did this to see where I'm going to sell, and unfortunately, because at the point I was thinking that we are having a change in direction, but then looking at it closely, I can now see that the way this thing came down, it's in the correction form. It came down as wave 1 in the correction form, and of course, if it's not going to be like it's going to be a wave, then I should now teach us that possibility. What if it's not a correction of wave 5-1? Like I told you, this is 5-1, and we are doing an ABC correction of 5-2, which is A and B, and C terminating around here, which is what is most likely going to be. Forget what I just moved. I did that. I was trying to see the internal structure of this wave to count for 5-3. I mean, so 3-3, 3-3, 3-1, 3-2. I was counting, proposing, okay, maybe the 5 will get here, and we have a 4, and to finish a 5 here. And, I just did that. It's really, it can be like that. If it works out like that and installed here, I want to buy from here. So now, what if this one is not an ABC correction and it is actually at the beginning of a new trend? What would you expect? That is the second possibility. If this one is not a 1, to now have a 2 correction, but indeed it's like movement up here is a 2 correction for downside, which means that instead of this one being an A here, we are probably seeing this one to be an A up here. So if this one is an A up here, so that means this one will be a B, and a C will go up to go further down. So what should we see eventually? What we're going to see eventually is this. If it's going to be a 2, which is a 2 of this entire move here, to now give rise to wave 3, it's going to be like that. So if it's going to be like that, then we should expect that this wave that we are looking at is going to go beyond what we are saying. Let me go on the daily for you to see. Let me take something that is not as messed up like this for you to see more closely. Let me use this one. Now, we did that analysis here before. We say this is 100 and this is 123 and this is 82 of a move from here. So we said that this moved from here. This is where 1 started and that 5-1 ended up here. 5-1 ended up there. So we don't expect this one to be broken. But of course, this is the last place we want price. And if we want price here, and this is 123, it's not likely price is going to come here because this will be a 90. And it will invalidate with 2 of this correction. So most likely, it looks more strongly that while price is going to just return here, and you see this as C, we would have done A here, and a B and a zigzag of 100, price will return bullish from this level itself. Now, what if it's not 1? And we are seeing a 2 correction. What is if this is 1 is a change of direction? So what are you going to see is this. What you're going to see in that case is that if it's like that, you will see a move. If you take this one as 1, the beginning of that with 1, and this is 2, we will see that that wave is going to break here, because at least it must break 168, 1.68 to say, okay, yes, it's a new trend. This is where it's going to break. So once price breaks below 96.128,